It has all the makings of a James Bond movie, $300 billion worth of gold bricks sitting in a vault 80 feet below the Federal Reserve Bank that only very few people have ever seen, and no more sitting in for Fort Knox. By the way, what's going on in Fort Knox? Is there massive amounts of gold there? And why should we be sitting on it? Should we sell it? Let's ask Mr. Peter Schiff. Peter, you've been a gold bug for a long time. Should we sell some of the gold we hold in reserve to pay off some of our debt?
I sure as hell hope they haven't already done that secretly, because nobody has been down there and audited Fort Knox in a long time. But we need every ounce the Federal Reserve should be buying. We should be buying every ounce we can get our hands on. We're going to need it when the dollar collapses. We're going to have some real money. You know, you guys mentioned on the earlier segment that you think if we don't increase the debt ceiling, that the Treasury is going to have to default on the national debt. That's an official admission that we're running a gigantic Ponzi scheme. When our creditors chew on that for a moment.
Is there any question? By the way, who is it? Every country's running a Ponzi scheme.
No, they're not.
Who's not?
We have no ability to pay our debt. I mean, just officially, just because, and you know, when I ran for the U.S. Senate in Connecticut, my platform was to filibuster the increase in the debt ceiling. That's what we need to do. We can't go into debt. What we could do is cut spending instead. But the government is saying, rather than cutting spending, we're going to screw our creditors. Okay, why is anybody buying U.S. Treasuries? In fact, nobody wants them. That's the real reason why this maniac, Ben Bernanke, is doing QE2, because he's trying to buy the treasuries that no one in their right mind would buy. He's monetizing government debt. He's going to destroy the dollar. He's going to destroy the country.
All right, listen, I'm not arguing with the fact that we should be spending less, getting ourselves out of debt, but the reality is any developed country that runs a negative balance, it's a Ponzi scheme. You know, when you get to the point where you're 13, 15, $20 trillion in debt,
but it's actually an official.
It's
an official Ponzi scheme on the debt, because the only way that we can pay off maturing debt is by selling new debt. That is a Ponzi scheme, pure and simple. Other countries don't have to do that.
Right. Well, that's what we do. We borrow money. I think the servicing our debt is $500 billion at some point. We're going to be borrowing money to pay off the interest on the money we borrow.
We're already borrowing money to pay the interest. And what happens when interest rates are 10% and it costs us $1.5 or $2 trillion a year just to pay the interest on the national debt, forgetting about trying to retire any of the principal?
I'll tell you what happens. The stuff that's sitting in front of me goes to $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 an ounce.
And that's why they better not sell any out of Fort Knox. We need that
agreed,
gold.
100%. Hang in there, Peter. I want to bring the panel in. Here, you guys. Here it is, Mr. Taxers and Spenders on the left side of my
head. Stereotyping.
Yeah. It's true.
Taxers and spenders.
It's true.
You know,
we're in debt. We're in debt, yet the deficit this year is going to add $1.3 trillion.
Do you know that the deficit went down from the last fiscal year to this fiscal year with Obama in office? Went down a little bit. It went down a slight amount.
No, it went down.
The deficit did go down.
The speed at which we add to it
went down. Went up.
The deficit
Go ahead, Peter. Am I wrong? The rate at which we add to the debt went down, but the debt went up.
But the debt itself, the national debt went up every year. In fact, even when Clinton had a... Yes, it did. The national debt, of course, it went up.
Sure did. It did not. It went down in the last year.
No, it didn't. How much do you want to bet?
No, don't bet.
I'll cover any bet you want to make. Right here, I'll tell you.
Too. Here's what happened. It's the rate at which we're adding to the debt slowed, but it's still whoppers. It's still way too big.
Well,
go ahead, Garland.
We've always got people running.
Why can we stop the spending? What's with the juice?
Well, see, here's the thing. We've always got people running around saying things like, let's get rid of the Department of Education. Let's not raise the debt ceiling. There are unintended consequences. We have a lot of people saying, let's do these things, and they have no idea what the consequences are going to be, and they would not want to live with the consequences.
Hang on, Peter. I want to get to the
What do we need education for anyway?
Hold on.
No, we had education before we had the department.
David, I want to go to you.
The department didn't come until the 70s.
Peter, please, hold on. We're not talking about just, hey, we should spend here and cut back here. We're talking risking the republic.
Yeah, we are. And the fact is that we're no longer spending. We're borrowing. What we need to do is really streamline things like the bidding process, defense, get our military up to speed. That'll cut costs. That'll cut a lot out of the federal deficit. We need to also take care of these departments. For 30 years, the Department of Education has not done its job. Is education better? We need to get it back to a streamlined.
We had better education before the Department of Education.
Please,
and it was a lot less expensive.
You know, Eric, you mentioned the gold bars. I have been one of the few people who's actually gone into the bowels of New York City, to the New York Federal Reserve that Geithner used to be in charge of before he was.
Did you see Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis?
No. But anyway, you see cage after cage of these gold bars. And in many instances, totalitarian third world dictators have left behind massive supplies of this gold. that is unclaimed, because who knows what became of that. Baby Doc, Papa Doc. I don't understand why we're just sitting on that and we haven't seized it, since it's unclaimed, and it's an incredible amount of gold.
Go ahead, Peter. Do you want to take this?
Well, seize it and do what with it? You mean add it to our own hoard?
Sure,
I mean, if it's unclaimed, we're going to need that gold. But I want to, talk about, you're saying the unintended consequences. We got to get rid of these government programs. And earlier, somebody talked about Social Security.
There's gold there that nobody has claimed that they left because we are a secure nation that can guarantee the deposit of the gold in the Federal Reserve.
Well, we have to try to figure out who the rightful owner is.
In this emergency situation, take it, sell it, and at least use the billions of dollars that sell-off would accrue.
Go ahead, Schiff.
Why would we sell it? The Chinese will buy it. The Indians will buy it. Why do we want to give up our gold? He who has the gold is going to make the rules. The countries that are going to dominate the world are the ones that have the most gold. I mean, we need every ounce we can get.
Hey, the countries that sold it. You're out of your mind. They're going to dominate the world.
Oh, yes.
We're going to have to leave it here. Peter Schiff, you and I, we agree on it 100%, and it's somehow we figure out a way to argue, you and I. Thanks so much for your time. All right.